All right. Hopefully that I believe we've now solved that problem. Not sure why that was so. There you go. Can you all just confirm that you are now receiving my sound? Can you just send a message through to me? Either you can call or send a quick message through to me just to confirm the sound is being received. Particularly on YouTube, can you receive the sound on YouTube? I believe it's fixed. Can I just ask him? Can you hear now? I've sent a message to everyone. Yep, that's excellent. Excellent. Apologies about that. The wonders of modern technology. Okay, never mind. Never mind. We're here now. Now we need to prepare for my guest. It's going to be truly an inspired show today, because today's show will focus on that great country or countries, the two Sudans. So what I'm going to do, without any further ado, and now that I know the sound is being received without any problem with making sure there are no other gremlins in the system, let me bring in my guest into the room. Let's bring in my guest. There we go. Just make sure this works. All right. Okay. There we go. Aha. I believe we have our guest. Can you hear us all right?
Councillor Martin, yes, I can hear you.
You can. Excellent. Can I ask you, because you're right, I've got the other hat. I am in this platform, I am the motivator. Call me the motivator.
The motivator, okay. Sure, sir. Greetings to the motivator and his audience.
Right, thank you. I'm not sure was it being heard very well, but thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Right, I'm just checking all my technology that I have around me. Not sure why they were not hearing me, but I said, there we go. Now then, I know that you will be joined by guest. Is that right?
Pardon. The motivator.
Yes, just checking. I understand that we are going to be joined by a number of your guests, or not?
Yeah. Both Mr. Hafiz and Mr. Mohammed should be joining. They've assured me. They're probably having technical issues too,
Oh,
but they
right.
should join shortly.
Well, such is life. I can see someone calling me on my other line.
Right.
I want to just point out to people that there is a studio line. Whilst I haven't officially opened the lines yet, okay, I'm happy if you send texts to me on the number that caller just made the call to me. But I'm not going to take a call whilst I'm live on air for obvious reasons. So the person with the number ending 9145, please send a text, and I'm happy to interact with you if need be. Okay. Now then, in fact, is it okay? Let's start, because this is your second visit, isn't it? Your second visit here. There are some key messages that derive from that your last visit, which was a really useful overview on South Sudan. This time, we want to address the issue of the Sudans, plural with an S at the end, okay, both north and south, okay, to better understand the dynamics. But before we begin, can I ask you, my brethren, ask you just to introduce yourself, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself so they can get to know you. Go ahead.
Lovely. Thank you, Mr. Motivator. Can you hear me well?
We can. It's a little, your sound a bit wavy. Are you able to keep your screen still? Set it down.
Yes, I can try my level best. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
We can. The sound is quite. The sound is strong.
Lovely. My name's well, like all of us, we have multiple names.
Mm-hmm.
I'm known by Justin, and then my African name is Nier Mortat. I'm a South Sudanese. I was born in the Sudan, brought here very young, lived here most of my life. I'm a product, I guess, of the African experience, like many of us, because we're born into colonies or former colonies, and we've having to have lots of challenges and difficulties to try and reach some equilibrium. The Sudan, being Africa's biggest country, split in 2011. But as part of that whole journey, many of us tried to do our small contribution. So I've worked with the Liberation Movement, formerly known as the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, an army. It was created in 1983 and fought for 21 years. A comprehensive peace agreement was signed and eventually led 6 years later to the splitting of the country. So now I'm South Sudanese by dual nationality, being British for that matter as well. Raised here in the UK, and I've worked in various capacities professionally, but generally keen to work with the community and keen to make our small contributions whenever chance or opportunities arise.
Brilliant, and thank you for that, because it's you provided a very useful overview of yourself. Okay, I look forward to your guest as well. But as you pointed out, yourself, and your family is derived from what is now South Sudan. Okay, just tell us a little bit about that part of Sudan. Just tell us a little bit about that, a little bit more about it.
It came into being on the 9th of July 2011, after two or three, you can even call it three brutal wars, where the people of that territory, mainly being indigenous people of the region, what many refer to as Sudan as a whole was said to be the microcosm of Africa, because it has all the different language groups within its setting. In the case of South Sudan, you have people of Nilotic stock, you have people of Eastern Sudanic stock, generally Nilo-Saharan groups of languages. We are no different from our borders. We often refer to ourselves as having biological borders with our neighbors. So we have similar people in Ethiopia, in Kenya, Uganda, DRC, Central African Republic, to our extreme south and west, and also to North Sudan. We have our relatives and our kith and kin as well, in terms of the whole mix up of people within the region.
Yeah.
We are defined by the Nile.
A quick question. A quick question. You use a number of interesting terms there now, and there will be hundreds, not thousands, of people who would have heard of those terms are not unfamiliar. Did you say Nilotic?
Nilotic, yeah.
Explain what that means in terms of the genetic heritage.
Right. Okay. It may be hard to describe. Okay. We'll try our level best.
Yeah.
It's a term used by people who are descendants of the Nile, or people who've always lived around the Nile. But the linkage there is the Nile. They happen to be in the region, both East and Central Africa, in that whole region. So you'll find Nilotic people in Zaire. A few of our people are there. In Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, South Sudan, Ethiopia.
Yes.
So literally, we're in the whole region. So the Nilotic group is defined as Eastern Nilotics, Southern Nilotics, and Western Nilotics. So South Sudan has Western Nilotics and has Eastern Nilotics. Tanzania has Southern Nilotics, mainly the Maasai and Kalenjin are also said to be. There are more linguistic divisions, and sometimes you probably heard of terminologies like Nilo-Hametic.
Yes.
So it links all of them, but the Nilo-Hametics have actually been said, particularly many of them are being said to be Eastern Nilotics. So they've actually done away with what used to be called the Paranilotics. So that whole phrase of lumbering us together.
Yes.
Or having said that we were different, but we are actually one family. But then the Nilotics are part of this, what you call Nilo-Saharan groups of languages.
Yes.
And it splits into various other groups, like the Sumeric. Sumeric are another branch. The Nubian languages are another branch. The Darfurian languages are also another groupings within that setting. But again, it's like when you refer to Africans as being Bantu. So Bantu is one of the four linguistic groupings.
Yes.
Well
said, and well explained, if I may say so. Right? Well explained. And that explanation is so vital, particularly young people hearing the knowledge. Okay? And there are tens of millions of Africans, either on the continent, I'm aware, and across the Caribbean and the Americas and here in Europe, who are totally clueless. I don't understand that important piece of knowledge. Who are what is, when you describe Nilotic, what does it mean? An integral part of being an African person. And there's much more to be said. And I note that your guest has arrived. Yes, I'm going to bring in your guest here. And I'll explain why it's your guest and the differences. Okay, if there are any differences. Anyway, let me bring up on the screen. Let me bring you both up. Are we in? Greetings and good morning to you. Good morning to you. Let me reorganize my screen this way. We now have another one of your guests here. Osman, can you hear us all right? Mohammed Osman, can you hear us? Oh, maybe not. Okay, let's try this. Try that again. It's got two instances here. Good morning, Mohammed. No? Justin, I don't think you can hear us.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Oh, you can hear us. Okay, I see we've got you twice on my screen. Oh, we've lost him now. Oh dear. Come back. Yeah. Okay, we're connect. I'm not sure if he's in the UK.
They're both in the UK. Both gentlemen, both Hafiz and Mohammed are here in the UK.
Excellent. Okay, let's try again. I'll bring them in. Let's see if that works. Morning to you. Uh,
Good morning.
Good morning. Excellent. Now, again, I've got you in twice, so I'm assuming the second instance is. Do you know you're in twice at the moment? I,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, don't worry. Your camera's not working, huh?
My camera is working.
Ah,
I just want to, you know, I got a problem because when I couldn't recognize that I should put my name and this. I was waiting for a long time.
okay. Well, let's see if I maybe bring it twice in just to make sure. Right, Oh, there you are. That's the other one gone. Okay, you can't get your camera working. I can't do anything this end. That's totally your end. I can't do anything with it. It might be asking you to allow it to access your camera. Allow the
Yeah,
software.
just
Yeah,
1 minute.
yeah.
Mohammed, try and exit and come back in if you can.
Yeah, I'm coming back. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Can I just try and get a hold of Mr. Hafiz
Of
as well?
course you can.
I
You
don't
can.
know.
This
Yeah.
is live. This is live. Huh?
I'm yet to get used to your restream. How do you pause it? Or can you pause me for a
Can
minute? Mohammed is there.
Yeah, that's right. Mohammed's here now. That's better. We can see you better, Mohammed. Yes, that's all right. Uh,
Okay now.
yes, much better.
Good morning, Mohammed.
Okay, let's take that one out. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, what I'm going to do, whilst Justin is resolving our other guest, Mohammed, can I ask you, please, first of all, welcome to the Motivator Show. Okay. And what we aim to do is to raise the awareness, the consciousness of our listeners, our viewers, of the situation in Sudan. Okay, and of course, Sudan is now two places. Okay, and we outside of Sudan are seeking to understand. Okay, why is it two places? Once Africa's largest country has now made itself a smaller country, which is not usual. That's not usual. Okay, that's not usual.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
but please, Mohammed, just first of all introduce yourself to my audience. Just say a little bit about yourself. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for bringing me here,
Mhm,
and thank you for your audience,
mhm.
and thank you for this opportunity. Uh, my name is Mohammed Osman, and I am one of the Sudanese activists. When I was in Sudan, and since I arrived here in 1992, and I am working actually within the Sudanese community and also within the political force organization, especially I am a member of the Sudanese Communist Party, and uh, also sometimes I do so interviews regarding the Sudanese situation.
Okay.
And to go back to your question, actually.
Ah, ah. I think we may have lost him for a moment. We have lost him. Okay, this is live, huh? This is live. This is not a recording. Let's bring him back into the studio. Here we go.
Sorry?
Yeah, they're there. We lost you for a moment there, Mohammed. I'm really sorry. Yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Is it okay now?
It is better now. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I said Sudan, when it was one country, it's multicultural and multi-religion,
Mhm.
and it is multi-nations.
Yes.
And these two or three elements have never been addressed correctly. And because there are two factors, one factor is internally, and the other factor is internationally and regionally, actually. And at the end of the time, uh, the resource is a very important thing, and the interest of the internally and outside Sudan. And the governing since 19 we had our independence. They are never try to bring like national project
Mhm.
to bring to contain all the issues, this issue with it, and to try to accommodate the diversity, and also the culture, the diversity of culture, diversity of religions, and also uh, the resource of Sudan try to be fairly uh, regionally and internally, and
Yeah.
they concentrate everything in the center of Sudan, and
Yes.
also the dominant of the Islamic Arabized culture
Mm.
imposed in different places.
Right.
And at the end of the time, this is not the the Sudanese people, as you say. This is also the class which have the power through these years. And me and you and we fighting action to bring a Sudan, accommodate everybody
Hmm.
uh, with the diversity of, as I said, religions and culture. And
Hmm.
at the end of the time, I think there is a lot of things we share together, and we fighting uh, to correct this situation in the future. I don't going to say that Sudan maybe is going to come back again to another country. If not, and this is our wish, but at the end of the time, we will going to have two uh, twin actually uh, brothers who look after uh, them, who looked after each other, and we try to share our resource, and also to exchange our views and everything. And this is which we hope to be in the future,
Thank
definitely. And we are fighting
you.
actually
Yes.
to correct this situation.
And thank you for that overview, because it's an important overview. It does seem to be a country that has been fighting, and where blood is being shed for more than a few years. In fact, for decades, the fighting seems to be persistent. Okay, and I want to probe why it has happened, and why it is that the country, which is imbued with such natural richness, um, has not been able to um, use that natural resources, natural richness, for the benefit of all Sudanese, or not just some. And I want to probe this, but I see that we've got another one of your guests, Hafiz. Can you hear us, Hafiz? He's definitely connected. Hafiz is connected, but
It's Hafiz.
he's
Hafiz.
Hafiz.
Hafiz. Thank you for the correction. Thank you. Uh, I don't believe Hafiz can hear us unless you say otherwise, Justin. Just I don't believe he can hear us. So we'll
No, he's trying to connect, so just give him
oh,
a chance here. He is connecting. I've spoken
okay,
to him.
okay, all right.
So
Let
he's
me,
just.
let me, Mohammed, go back to you. I'm interested in your overview and the descriptions that you provided. But for many outside the country, much of the information you've just shared is brand new, because it's not reported in this way, as you know, via the usual news channels we have here. Okay, so if I may just probe a little further. I understand that you reside in what is referred to as Sudan, and others might say North Sudan. Okay. And I'm trying to get a distinction between Sudan and South Sudan. Why was it not possible for Sudan, as was prior to 2011, to remain a united co- coherent society? So, what is the distinction in your mind?
Actually, as I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of facing a lot of problem in the north of Sudan and in the south Sudan at the moment, and first, we try to bring a government which represented the interests of the people.
Yes.
And through the history, since 1969, there is no real government uh, represent the Sudanese, the interests of the Sudanese, and work for the Sudanese.
Mm.
They just at that time they want to get of the colonization
Yes.
and to uh, to go the same route and to actually in the same route of the colonization to control the resource, also to have everything without looking to the diversity of Sudan. Even when you look to the at that time in 1956 about like the officials which is they been they try to have everything for themselves without look to the other people of the Sudan. That this one creates the problem. But as the problem, as you said, we're facing a real problem unless we bring government which restore democracy and human rights, and we try to bring civil society. Without that, it is very difficult to say because this is the first step. It should be done, and after that, secondly, we try to go to a bridge because this will be very difficult. Because after that, internally, we want to like to bring a constitution conducive address all the issues. And this constitution it should be discussed by diversity of the Sudanese in the north, and after that we can go and the next step to build a bridge. And at the time, I'm quite sure we are one nation, definitely. I don't mean one nation with the diversity, with the diversity of languages, with the
Hmm.
diversity of culture. But at the end of time, we are one nation. Even if you look to the neighbors, wherever in the south of Sudan or the north of Sudan, we don't accommodate themselves with them. Usually, when we meet the people from the south, we feel at home and we feel safe, definitely.
Hmm.
And this is
Hmm.
most of the Sudanese.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's as I said, it's interesting to hear you speak, but nevertheless, the the there is now two nations, okay, and two nations, and which suggests that despite what you've said, that you feel comfortable and safe with the people of the South, the people of the South have decided to split. Okay, and it's this what we want to understand, you know. And Justin knows I'm of, by instinct, a Pan Africanist. Okay, so I think in terms of unity, African unity. Okay, the coming together of peoples and overcoming both ethnic, social, and religious differences, and so you develop the one aim, one purpose mentality. Okay, and I'm not sure I completely understand the reasons for the split. I've seen the war, I've seen the bloodshed, so I can understand it from that perspective. But each Sudanese person I've encountered appears to possess, and you're no different, above average intelligence, both academic and common sense. Okay, and it is evident to me, because it's true for many Africans across the world, above average intelligence and common sense, given the right exposure to education. Um, it seems, and it's particularly true when I meet Sudanese people. So I'm not completely understanding. So I'm going to ask you just to hold just for a moment, Mohammed, because I want to just go back to Justin, because clearly my previous encounter with Justin, of course, we focused on South Sudan and why South Sudan and its people are distinctive. So I'm going to ask him, please, just to restate the reasons for South Sudan. And remember, I am instinctively a Pan-Africanist, African unity. So please don't be in any way offended by that question. It's really to understand. Okay? It runs contrary to what is a direction of travel. Okay, Justin, why
Yes,
Sudan?
thank you very much. Can you hear me?
I can. We can hear you well. Yes, we can hear you well.
Right. Okay. Mr. Hafiz, just to go back slightly, Hafiz is struggling to get in, but hopefully in the interval he'll join us. It's a very interesting question, and I want to salute and thank my brother Mohammed for having explained that it was a failure of leadership, as famously said by one of our leaders and academics and a revolutionary former foreign minister, Mansour Khalid. Mansour Khalid always said the Sudan was failed by the elites, as Mohammed rightly said, but the elites also inherited, as we know, an African state that was probably constructed or misconstructed for extractive reasons primarily and exploitative reasons. So now, in having inherited this particular country, very diverse, Africa is huge, as what was described as a microcosm of Africa, they mismanaged it. And as Mansour rightly said, that the Sudan have produced visionary leaders who literally embrace all its people in their diversity, whether religious, ethnic, and race. Because in the Sudan, there is literally a huge diversity. You'll get somebody as light skinned as Mohammed, probably more light skinned than him, as light skinned as probably Obama. You can get these kind of people in the Sudan, as dark as myself. So now Sudan had 250 tribes or ethnic communities. Now, having gone through what it went through as a
Oh, we've lost him for a moment. Don't worry.
as a nation that was not intended to have been formed.
Yes, we lost you for a moment, but you're back.
Right, yeah. I said the Sudan was unique in that sense that it could, had it been managed well, could have actually been an example of a workable African nation. Unfortunately, the elites that emerged were very myopic in their thinking, very narrow, myopic in the sense that they took their peculiarities, whether Arab origins, Islamic, whatever they prefer to be their choice of alliance, and forgot that the Sudan was very diverse and needed leaders who could embrace all our people. So with this failure and the huge subjection or oppression of South Sudanese and indigenous Africans for that matter, with the huge underdevelopment caused by the Turks, perpetrated by Anglo-Egyptians, and the Sudanese consecutive Sudanese governments, South Sudan had no choice. They lacked citizenship, they lacked opportunities as fellow citizens. They were discriminated. They were literally an unwanted entity. But some have argued that the court of the Sudan, that didn't matter, that didn't exist. And in the end, South Sudanese rose up as one of the indigenous communities of Sudan. And in the process of that whole journey, awoken all other communities to their rights. As Mohammed said, there is a class issue, there's racism there is religious bigotry, there's a sense of not wanting to actually recognize our whole sense of being. The hybrid communities of the Sudan deny their Africanness, and in doing so, perpetuate a country which is Arabic, Islamic, and monocultural, mono-linguistic, mono-ethnic. And in doing so, they've denied all Sudanese. And the problems that the Sudan faces today are still a continuation of why South Sudan went away and left. If you want to understand why South Sudan left, understand the Sudan in its current shape. In its current shape, everybody's disfranchised, everybody's denied and are oppressed and are marginalized. So the east of the Sudan have grievance, the west of the Sudan has grievance, the south now, the Nuba Mountain, the people of Engastana, Southern Blue Nile have grievances. Literally everybody has grievances with the system. Again, it goes back to how the nation was constructed. The center, which is just Khartoum, and what you call the north. Mohammed will explain it better, but Sudan and is managed mainly from Khartoum and the north. The northern region dominate everybody. and as a result, you've got a center which is very strong and a periphery that is totally neglected, and these communities feel a lack of service, a lack of recognition, a lack of opportunities, and they've continued to wage a war. Now you could call it a failure of government, but it also maybe the Sudan was built on sand. It was never really constructed with the view of serving all its citizens and actually acknowledging its true reality and potential. And as many have said, Sudan missed an opportunity to be one of Africa's greatest countries because it had all the resources. It had an intelligentsia. Had they been conscious of their historical responsibilities, could have probably perpetuated the Sudan to the greatness that many have perceived and saw.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for that overview. It's again, to hear people of the nation speaking about their nation is the authoritative news reporting. I want to assert to the audience, to hear the people of the nation speaking is the authoritative news reporting. It's unfiltered through the propaganda that we are typically exposed to here in London. Okay. And it's interesting, the South Sudan and your symbols, the justice, liberty, prosperity, okay, which is of course terms that we could apply to all nations, okay. So if I may go back to Mohammed, okay, and I did want to speak to you on this. And I've heard what Justin has said, and it's heartbreaking. For me, it is heartbreaking. What I've not always understood in terms of dynamics in my own communities, wherever it might be in the world, it's we see the issues, but don't appear to take the next step, which is to organize to resolve the social issues that undermine the fabric of our societies. And you said earlier on, Mohammed, that of course the what I would call those who control the wealth of the nation, and I'm going to presume that they are primarily Arabs. Is that correct? Oh, can you hear us, Mohammed? Can you hear?
Your voice is not clear. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Yes, let me say again.
There is interruption. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Just to be clear, that those who control the Sudanese societies, are you asserting that they are primarily Arab? They are of Arab extraction, and they're the ones that actually control the wealth production in the country. Is that right?
Actually, when you look to the society of Sudanese, as you know, usually the class who's controlling the power and the wars, they try to use religions and the race as a tool to control people.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, nothing to do with the religion, nothing to do with the race. We are a human being, and we have needs, and we need to eat, we need to have security, whatever, all of us as a human being. But at the end of this time, the ruling class, they try to control people by the religion and by the race, but it's nothing to do. And the people, even they fighting against their interests under the name of the religion and under the name of tribe and the name of the race. And this is one of the problem. And the true history of the Sudan. And usually when there is no government, this element is being raised very high and cause a lot of problem. And this is what's happening exactly now. If you look at the situation now in Sudan, some people, when you look to the Janjaweed, they claim they are Arab, but they nothing to, they are African. Look at their features, look at the color, whatever. But at the end of the time, because they use them as a tool, and under the name of the religion, under the name of the race, at the end of the time, to control the resource and the government itself. Yeah.
Okay. that's understood, and I'm going to probe that in a moment. I just want to just raise another issue with you: the different regions which are still in dispute. I understand Darfur, the South Kordofan, and Blue Nile regions are still in dispute. Okay, why has not peace been found in those regions, in your opinion?
Now there is no peace anywhere in Sudan. It's not just Blue Nile, and it used to be, yeah, in through the history, Blue Nile, and recently Darfur, since 2003. But
Hmm.
nowadays there is no peace all over the country, and the people they're flooding their houses, killing everywhere, destroying infrastructure, hospital,
Mhm.
school, university, looting everything, and
Mm.
looting even the houses. Because this, they release about 20,000 or more prisoners. For this is a Muslim brother. Definitely, they did it because they want to cause chaos in Sudan, and
Right.
also the Janjaweed, because it is a militia and it is very difficult to control them, and also the supporters of the Muslim Brothers, all the government, Ahmed Bashir government, all of them. They make the chaos, and the situation this is very, very, very gloomy and very bad.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Understood. I'm going to say again that in my observation of my own peoples, where we're from the continent, directly from the continent, Caribbean or the Americas, we have above average levels of genius, intelligence amongst the peoples. Okay, okay. And I'm always astonished, say again, I'm astonished how that intelligence isn't being translated into common sense. Because clearly, what you're describing, of course, is another aspect of being an African, and that is we are a truly spiritual people. And therefore, we take to religious affiliations with a vigor that I think is not matched anywhere in the world. Okay? And I'm very conscious, and if I go to you now, Justin, if I go to you now, Justin, I'm very conscious that religion plays a major role in Sudan. And I understand that 78% of the population are Islamic. A very small percentage, about 4 or 5%, are Christian, and the balance have retained the traditional belief system. Okay. Has there not, Justin, been a meeting of the religious leaders with the intention to seek peace amongst the peoples? Okay. Has that not happened in previously? I read with such vigor on these matters, and I could find very little discussion amongst the religious classes, the religious leaders, and their attempt to find peace amongst the peoples. Am I right in saying that?
I think you're right. I'm still. Mr. Hafiz said he's in the room. Can you see him?
Uh,
I can't.
uh, no, he's not in the room. No, no. Otherwise, I'd bring him in. He's not in this. Let's see. Making sure. No, he's definitely not here. I can't see him.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
can't explain why he can't get in at the moment.
He said he's in, but I don't know. Um,
All right. I'm sorry about that. It's no. I can see, of course, Mr. Mohammed Osman. He's here, obviously, but I can't see Hafiz. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But don't worry. We'll press on. We'll press on.
okay. Yeah. I think it's an interesting question.
Hmm.
I think in addition to race and ethnicity, religion has been one of the divisive factors, obviously, because as Mohammed rightly just mentioned,
Yes.
elites who want to dominate this space would use anything at their disposal. So
Hmm.
religion has been used as a unifying factor to blindfold, oppress, and other Sudanese, or let's call them in the Sudanese, who wage wars to fight for the rights of Muslims or some kind of Islamic wars. But in the end, they were kind of it was a misnomer to try and keep them suppressed. So, but people have realized that religion is it's one of the tools used to oppress them. So in the case of the Sudan, North Sudan, and the Sudan as a whole, before we broke away, a lot of wars were fought to try and expand Islam. So, for instance, South Sudanese resisted the expansion or the imposition. We have Muslims, but we don't want Islam to be imposed on us. Equally, the idea that the Sudan is Arabic, there was attempts to try to impose some process through education of Islamization as well as Islamization. Now, if the bulk of the Sunnis now are Muslims, then you can really see now there's a class issue. Religion was used to unify the people only for the purpose of oppressing them. But then indigenous Sudanese who are Muslims, like most Sudanese in the society, don't really have services, don't have an opportunity to enjoy their country, the resources of that state. So in the sense whether religion is a unifying factor, I don't think it is. It's used to bring people together, but it's not really. It's an oppressive tool that, as Mohammed said, the extreme Muslims came in and literally took it to another level, changed the social fabric of the Sudanese state. Literally, the way the Sudan is as a people, with extreme Islamic laws, for instance, Sharia laws were there. People being amputated, women were oppressed. But in the end, the rules. It's not as if the Sudanese did not know about their religion. They were very upright citizens.
Okay. And thank you for that. Because it is interesting to note the lack of effort by the religious leaders class to find peace. Okay. And I must say, I read the South Sudan People's Charter, the broad concept paper, which is a really inspired document. And one of the paragraphs reads as follows. And if you don't mind, just indulge me for a moment just to read this paragraph. It says what the people seeks to achieve is a progressive, democratic, stable state that establishes strong institutions anchored on constitutionalism and good governance, and embraces and manages its diversity through strong law and order and inclusivity, through social equality and active citizenship. Wow. Now that is a statement, okay? And if the people of South Sudan can achieve that, that will truly create a remarkable state. Okay? And the paper then goes on to say, South Sudan is endowed with human and natural resources, which, if harnessed accordingly, can aid the socio, economic, and technological advancement of the nascent state. South Sudan has a historic opportunity to learn and avoid the mistakes, failures, and pitfalls of its recent history and struggles in Sudan. And from the collective experiences and journey of its region, the African continent and the global South. Powerful statement. It's a powerful statement. And the last part of this, I just want to read, and then I would go to Mohammed. South Sudan and its people have the building blocks to establish a formidable foundation and an enviable modern nation state, pivoting on its people's shared history and heritage, struggles, diversity, and aspirations. I have to say, Mohammed, as I read that, I thought, wow. Now, if the people of the South can put this in their constitution, ultimately in their constitution, can the people of the North do the same? What say you?
Actually, as I told you, first we should get rid of this oppressive Islamic government. After that, we should come together, all the Sudanese, representing the Nile region, the tribes, everything, every like every wherever you come from. And at the time, we bring a constitution to represent all the Sudanese and civil government. After that, we can say we have a government to represent us, and we can after that negotiate with the South how we can accommodate each other in all aspects. Yeah.
Thank you for that response, Mohammed. And I still need to come back to you because you're an important linchpin. But I also understand Hafiz. Welcome. Can you hear us all right? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Yes, technical
Wonderful. This is a true African, a determined human being. He never gives up and will always win at the end of the day. Welcome. Our time is limited, but I'm going to give you the opportunity, please, Hafiz. So I am the motivator. I'm the host of the show. Can I just ask you, please, to introduce yourself? Just say a little bit about yourself so the audience can become familiar with you.
Yeah, thank you for Ismail Muhammad. I'm the director of Justice Africa Sudan, an NGO work for democracy and peace based in Khartoum, Sudan. I've been working nowadays because of the ongoing war in Sudan. We work on the journalism, human rights, civil rights, and good governance.
And tell me, Hafiz, do you reside in South Sudan or in the northern part of Sudan, North Sudan?
In northern part of Sudan, in Sudan, in the capital Khartoum, mainly, and also working and Blue Nile also.
So please, I'm not sure if you've heard what I just said in regards to the proposed constitution concept paper that I read out that people in the South are currently authoring. Okay. In your mind, bearing in mind that you work for NGO and therefore you're working with the people, okay, do you have an opinion on how the situation in Sudan or North Sudan can be resolved? Who needs to come around the table for peace to be given a chance?
Yeah, I think the problem is resolvable by peaceful means. Yes. The problem is they have took over Sudan from the colonial British rule, and they want to keep that and marginalizing others. I think that is the main problem which we have. Coming to the issue of since the independence of Sudan in 1956, we haven't got a permanent constitution. Reason for that, I think, what we are trying to do is to portray ourselves, and that descriptions never fit into the majority. Sudan is over 300 or 400 tribes with different features, with different cultures, with different religions, and we need to consolidate all this. But the problem is the elites, they are very few, but they want to dictate. If they pretend they are Arab Muslims, and the others have to follow them. The others have no right. Democracy, which we have in our 66 years of independence, we have 11 or 12 years. But this 11 or 12 years is also representing the people. It's elitist-led democracy. That is why we have a problem ourselves. We have a problem in wealth sharing also, because the wealth is of few. The majority are poor, impoverished, are marginalized, not recognized within the country. I think that is the problem, and that's the reason why South Sudan decided to opt out on country. The problem is we can resolve our problem by table and discussing that. And even in Justice Africa, we have a constitutionalism program almost 2 years. We bring people together. We talk about religion and state. We're talking about defining about devolution of power and governance. But the problem is they share everything. They don't want actually to share it with others. That is the main problem which we are facing.
Agreed. I understand that. The challenge, of course, is we've identified the problem. It's now to identify the solutions. Okay, you mentioned, and I understand what you've said, but you haven't mentioned religion. Okay, is religion used as a means to bring people together, or is it being primarily used by the various groups that are committing these atrocities as a means to divide the people and allow the small number of families to continue their control?
I think
how is religion being used in Sudan?
Yeah, religion in Sudan is used as of suppression, as part of oppressing people, in part of denying others the right to other religions. And normally, if you are a non-Muslim, citizen, you don't enjoy the whole rights. And also oppressing women class, they don't have many rights within, there is addressing, there is a certain rules they have to follow. They don't have to join certain jobs. And Muslims are, you cannot be a judge. You cannot be, if you want to really follow the Sharia, strict Sharia code, build a diverse, multi-ethnic, multi-national, multi-religion. The two are not fitting together in a contemporary state. Then that you have a problem which we're really facing. We're either building a Sudan, a country which is opt out for Sharia, and that is actually a dividing factor. And I think many other regions of Sudan will do the same, and they will go and they will opt out definitely. Sit down and recognize the rights of everyone, and recognize this country is ours, and we need it with equality in everything, equality in wealth sharing, equality in rights, defining the identity as Sudanese, and not any other things than that. Then cannot. I think that is the way to do it. But these are the factors which is actually the solution is there if we want to solve the problem.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. May I be so bold, and thank you, Hafiz. I want to go to Mohammed for a moment. I'm going to ask maybe a little cheeky question. I always ask this question. How can people outside of Sudan help you to realize your dream for a united peoples within Sudan? What help can we offer? What help will be useful? Mohammed.
At the moment, we want people to work with us to stop this evil war, because it's everything. We need to raise attention to international community and to NGOs and all the people who are concerned about peace and stability, and to help us to solve this problem first. And we know we have a lot of friends regionally and internationally, and we hope that to take it very seriously, because even the role now of the international is confusing, because they look to their resource when they try to bring any project or proposal to Sudan. As you can see, the American and the European, when they support, especially the Europeans, they support the RCF because to control the immigrant to go to Europe, and they give them a hell of money, and also they train them. At the end of time, just they look to the resource. We want the people to look to the benefit of the Sudanese, and how the Sudanese they want help and support, and to bring a proposal which look to the interests of the Sudanese, not just because even the interests of Sudanese and the interests of the international, they will can work together if you look to them. But the international community at the moment, they just focus in their interests, and the proposal sharing power between the military now controlled by the Muslim brothers and the Janjaweed and other some parties. Just it look like a civil government, but at the end of time, this is a military government, because the side which they have the power, they have to say everything and to control everything.
Are you giving us hope, Mohammed?
Definitely, when there is a people, there is a hope. When there is a people there is hope. And we are going to fight, and we have friends, as I told you, outside and inside. And at the end of the time, we will succeed.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you. Justin, I can't see him now as he's moved off. In fact, let's go back. Oh, Justin, you're there. Okay. You, of course, are based over here in the UK, Kim. What can people here in the UK do to help both the peoples of South Sudan and, of course, we want intuitively to help the people of North Sudan who wish to find peace? How can we contribute to that peace process?
It's a very interesting question. Obviously, I mean, if one assumes failure of governance or war and strife are the currency of the day, it alienates everybody. You find it very hard. Other than humanitarian help, there's not much that you can really do. But I think my discussions with you, and I hope these will surface as we conclude, is really to say, what do the Sudanese people want? Both in the Sudanese in the north of Sudan and the South Sudanese in the south of Sudan. What kind of governance do they want? And hence, this is why we initiated the South Sudan People's Charter, because we really want to gauge the will of the people. And for instance, basic services, as Mohammed said earlier, and Hafiz also mentioned, right, let's agree that we're a diverse society. If we are a diverse society, can I see myself in the image of the country? What does the flag mean to me if I am oppressed, if I'm denied services, if I'm not treated as equal? So surely we should hear our people crying around us. We should also look at history and what has gone wrong. The Sudan definitely, in my humble opinion, was built on the wrong premise, like most African countries. We really need to take the state, break it down, and redefine it in our own image, so that governance and the so-called leaders become closer to the people. They need to know their servants. They don't lord it over us. Unfortunately, the disparities, economic disparities in most of our countries, and the plight of ordinary citizens means most people are hopeless. So when you find a hopeless people, all you can do is maybe solve their problems momentarily, but you can't really look at long-term solutions. So long-term solutions is what we, as in the south of the South Sudan, as well as in North Sudan, have to kind of come up and say these are the solutions, and then we can get people to help. You and I have had discussions of the need for technical know-how, the need for investors, the need for people who are willing to teach us what they know in Jamaica, in Trinidad, in Canada, in India. We want to, look at good things like in Bangladesh, microfinancing, cooperatives all around the world. How China suddenly turn itself around, like India before with the green revolution of removing hunger. Many Africans still to go hungry today, and we have arable land in endless, So all these are the problem. We need to really have a discussion on what is it do we want, and and the elites also have to be tamed and have to be redefined, or there has to be a code of conduct in terms of the people who assume public space, and accountability is lacking, and so we really think the future is really wanting to learn from the experiences of all of us, and people who have gone before us, and if we're to look at Africa today, and Mo Ibrahim with these initiatives always tried. There were times when no leader could be awarded because nobody was given us the sense of feeling that they're taking charge of the challenges of the day, and moving and shifting those countries forward for the betterment of all their citizens. Yet again, our relations with the outside world, we're also being exploited. And if we exploit our own and we're being exploited, then it makes it very difficult. But unless we fix ourselves before anybody, we will always be victims to all this.
If I may, at this point, just read another part of this inspired concept paper. I want to share it with our guest from the north of Sudan. And I just want to read this because I believe it applies wherever you are. And this document goes on to say, we envisage the emergence of a political charter from this People's Charter and ushering in a new political dispensation and paradigm shift. This should help alleviate the country from perpetual conflict, de-tribalization, de-ethnicized politics, restore permanent peace, and lead to the trajectory of state and nation building program. And from the southern Sudan's People Charter, we hope a consensus will emerge for adopting a hybrid administration, hybrid presidential system, and a technocratic system for an accelerated institutional building and national social economic recovery program to restore the economy and the impediment to social economic programs. Now, these are powerful words which apply not just to the South, I have to assert, but it applies to all peoples of Sudan and across the continent. Because, Justin, the words you've uttered in terms of redefining and reconstitution the nation is words I hear from many people in Nigeria, for example, which had an interesting presidential election, particularly the people of Igbo people of Biafra in Nigeria. So much the same tone. So if I may just go back, if I may, to Mohammed, and I was really interested in what you said and your descriptions of the various groups that are mainly responsible for the atrocities, okay, the Jesuin and Boko Haram and others. You mentioned them. Okay. The question that arises in my mind is that those groups are only as powerful as the communities that support them. And I get quite a distinct impression that they don't have the wholesale support. So my earlier question to Justin still holds. What can we outside of the country do to help you to find peace? What steps? Give us concrete actions that we can enact that would help you to find the peace. Mohammed.
Yes, first I think they should make a pressure to the international community, especially who are related to the Sudanese situation, like European Union, the United States of America, the African, to make pressure to two groups to stop the war first, and to make corridors for the civilian to pass food and aid and medical aids, and also security, and this is the main thing, and the majority now it should be implemented straight on. This is we need it. Next, we should have a negotiation about how to go forward and to bring a civil government out, and the army should go back to barracks, and the militia it should be solved. This is the main thing it should be happening in Sudan, and we want the support from the international community and for our friends and NGOs actually to achieve these goals.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Before I move from you, because I'm this conscious of time, so how can those who are outside, but the words you've uttered resonate with us, and we understand we do not want to sit by and watch, but we want to contribute to the peace? How can we make contact with yourselves to find the peace?
I think through because we have a legitimate organization outside and inside, and we can cooperate and work together with similar organization and any like even government representative, whatever, to explain to them what our needs and also what we want from them exactly to do, to share with us to bring peace to Sudan and to stop this evil wars, destroying everything and killing thousands of people and rapes everywhere. Really, very bad situations are nowadays in Sudan. And
Understood. I'm just, so you must forgive me, I'm conscious of time. So how can members of the audience, who I know will be moved by your words, make contact with yourself? Remember, we want to find the peace, support the peace process. How can they do you have a website, an email address, or a general telephone number that you wish to share?
actually, I can give at the moment I can give them my telephone number and my email. And
Okay.
secondly, when they contact me, I provide them with the information. Also, I can share them with other links and other organizations. And you can even, if they want something inside, I can try to help to bring the information for them. I can give you now my
Brilliant.
telephone number and my, or if you want to send it in email.
Yes, send it through to me. Yep, send it through to me.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can I go to Hafiz? 'Cause I'm really interested in yourself, and it is a great shame we had a technical problem, but I want to spend a little more time with you. Okay, I need to spend more time. Could NGO play a? Oh, there's a call coming through. I haven't officially opened the phone line, but I might just take this call. Oh, I've made little time. Just bear with me for a moment. Let's get this call on the line. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning, I'm sorry I'm calling in so late. I
Yes.
wanted to call in earlier, but thing. Yeah, there were a few things I wanted to run by the brothers there from Sudan. And the fact is, because I'm very conscious because my family is from there. And, you know, the problem that I'm seeing there in Southern Sudan, right, they have a lot of wealth. And the wealth is not only the Arab people there, because since Southern Sudan has broken away, why is it that the people with the power don't want to share the wealth with all of those others? I mean, in the 11 years that since Sudan has become independent, having all that money from the oil, why did they not develop Southern Sudan? Why did they not make it a place like Dubai?
Called up. We've got the question. I've only got 4 minutes left to my show. Okay, so we've got that question. Don't you worry, we've got that. And I think I think my guests have answered this question. I'm not sure how long you've been listening, but if I may go to Hafiz, and I'm going to ask him to respond to you. Yes, please. Did you hear the question? Yes.
Yes. I think the problem is corrupt. You know, the main problem which we're facing actually, and that the ministry which South Sudan is, you know, have a very corrupt elite. I think no transparency and in terms of public funds, and that's one of the main problems. I think we have to root out and manage our economy or our affair properly. I think that issue are facing. I think unless and we address that. The issue is not is how to manage our resources. Not we have many resources, not only South Sudan, also in Sudan, the main factor which is actually preventing us from progressing in terms of development. That have to be rooted out.
It is a problem that is not unique to Sudan. I can announce. Okay. This is for sure. This is for sure. As I said before, we Africans have above average levels of natural intelligence when exposed to information, given a good education opportunity. We have above average levels of intelligent quotients. But I'm always frustrated, despite that. The solution which we know we possess is the courage to follow through on those solutions. Okay, so it's a subject we need to discuss again. But Brother Akram, I'm going to thank you for your call. As you know, I've only got a few minutes officially on the Galaxy side for my show. But if my guests are mindful, I might go on a little longer via YouTube and Facebook. But I want to thank you for that question. Okay, thank you very much for that question. Thank you. Can I now move on to Justin? Justin, and you've been quiet, okay? And I want to thank you for organising the guests because they provided useful insights. Okay, very useful insights. So my question to you is the same. Okay, how can we on the outside contribute to the peace process? What practical steps, what practical contributions can we make?
Thank you for the question, and also thank you for this opportunity. We also want to thank your audience for having joined this. It bleeds, and we are all in pain when we see, innocent people suffering, when we see failures of governance and elite politics that are blindfolded by greed and God knows what have you. So clearly, what is happening in the Sudan has never happened because the center, which was fortified for years and years and years, and Garang actually, our former leader, hero of the South Sudan, of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, which at the time, from its inception, was actually fighting for a new Sudan on a new basis, a Sudan where every citizen matters, where every culture matters, where diversity is well managed, where we embrace our tutelage, whether historically Arabs, historically African, contemporary Sudanese is who we are. Let us join hands and build this country. Now, obviously, that was perceived to be a threat by the system, and the system had a way of always saying, if people of Nuba Mountains raised their hands and wanted to express their frustrations and contribute to the Sudan, they say it's a Nuba problem, it's a Darfuric problem, it's a South Sudanese problem. So in the end, we never had a solution. But where Sudan is today, the north in particular, and to some extent the south, because we are still overshadowed and still continue to be subsumed by the very name, the very fact that we've kept the name, means most people don't realize that there's a different country, or the Sudan are too. So there's a lot of confusion in that sense. But maybe also South Sudanese are behaving from what they know is like a mirror image of the Sudan still continues to plague the South. So maybe a new breakage, a sense of creating something anew, maybe a new name, a new identity. But what is very important as well is to cut and paste from everybody's good experience and leap forward, as opposed to having to go through the same pitfall, the same fault line, the same crisis. I'm encouraged to say that, for instance, the anti-apartheid movement was able to galvanize the diasporic human beings, mainly indigenous or people of African heritage, but also people who
I'm sorry, Justin. Just hold on just one moment. I just want to give an announcement that I'm going to disconnect from the Galaxy Affiliate Network so that the next presenter can take over, unless they wish to continue to listen. Okay, but I'll disconnect officially. Continue, Justin. Continue.
Thank you. I was saying, if we look back in time, the anti-apartheid movement was a tool or an organization that actually worked to support the ANC and the people of South Africa to fight apartheid. in the case of North Sudan now, maybe the likes of Hafiz and Mohammed can shed light, but maybe the Sudan now needs an international organization that can be contributed to not only Sudanese in the diaspora, but the whole human race if they're willing to support the Sudan, because this war has to end. This perpetual failures of governance has to end. This I don't know, literally this whole thing has to end. The Sudanese people deserve a government, and they deserve peace, and they deserve a new phase, and maybe that phase can have an international input. Whether I'm not arguing that a takeover by the UN or anything, but I think the Sudanese are blessed with a huge skill force, but they have all been disfranchised. They don't have any input in that country. But again, because the organizations have never been done on an international basis, maybe this is the time to really galvanize all Sudanese, but also other well-wishers to kind of maybe push for, as Mohammed said earlier, you can talk to the UN. We expect the UN to do something, the European Union, all these regional and international bodies. But at the same time, you need an ordinary citizen's input, ordinary professionals, maybe to come up with something. And I really think, not to say that we've got the solution, but people have to be asked, what do they want for the Sudan? And leaders have to be straitjacketed and made to realize that they have to implement what the people want.
Yes.
And by nature, they are elites anyway. They'll benefit from it. They implement it. But there's no reason why the Sudan, which was on a par with, say, Malaysia in the 60s, look where Malaysia is today. Look where Indonesia is. Look where South Korea is. There was no reason to fail the Sudan. So is it a failure of leadership? Is it the wrong premise in terms of institutions? Is it the character of the people? I don't think it's the character of the people. The Sudanese on both sides of the border are lovely people and are known all over the world to be this. But again, we don't lack capacity. And if in the world we live in now, you can also buy know-how. You don't really need to reinvent the engine. You can just borrow what worked next door can work for you. The Middle East is a prime example. Libya tried to do it, to convert desert to greenery area, to take people from the desert, put them in houses. It was then emulated all over the Arab world. A social contract has been given, and people, although there's a huge disparity between the rich and the poor, there's basic rights for the citizens. What are those basic rights, and how can the future Sudanese government actually give the citizens their basic rights and stop the war and the bleeding and suffering? Thank you.
Well said. Well said. Well said. You are truly inspired Africans. Now, is it possible for all three of you to work with that aim, enough objective, common aim and common purpose? Is it possible for all three of you, representing different parts of that great land, to work together with that common aim and that common purpose? Mohammed, is that possible?
I think 100% possible.
Okay.
Okay. We share the same views and the share interests, actually. And all of us, we want to do something towards our people.
Okay. Well, that's hope. That's hopeful. That's hopeful. Hafiz, if I may go to you, Hafiz, come to you. Is that possible? Would all three of you work together with a common aim?
Yeah, we have joint interests and joint and common aim. I just want to, dialogue and help for Sudanese. The African Union is now preparing Sudan to started in 2 weeks' time, maybe in Addis Ababa. They work on that, and I think with the tripartite and also the IGAD, the dialogue which will lead at least to arrangement for the interim period, and then we come war and then move for political arrangement, and then until we can reach having a free and fair election. We work on that, but I think we can work together. There is a lot of too many commons between Sudan and South Sudan. I think we can work together. In terms of economic partnership, social, and of around 2,000 kilometers longer, and that I think link which we cannot actually. We have to work together for the success of the two countries, and people of the must is not just an aspiration. Thanks.
This is good. This is good. This is good. The whole purpose of these shows, of course, is to empower so that we promote collective working, for the common good. It has been too long now. Far too many people have died. Too many brothers and sisters, aunts and aunties, too many children have died. And the intro for this show, that we find peace for our children's sake. That's it.
Yeah.
We've got to find peace for our children's sake, because if we're not serving the children well, the society that they become adults within will be dysfunctional. So we've got to serve the children their long-term interest, and that hopefully will transcend both economic, religious, or other affiliations that people might have. Because if the children can find peace and work together, and we inculcate that as part of their upbringing, then the society will work together because they've learned to do so as children. There you are. It is a profound observation that I've made. All right. In that case, we need to come to a close now. And if I may go back to Mohammed, can I invite you, sir, to give your sort of closing words, advice to the audience, an audience who are keen to support, an audience that cries out for peace from you? What would be your closing statement to them?
First of all, I would like to thank them very much because it shows their interest and they are willing to do anything to share us this problem, and with them we are going to work to stop it. And secondly, I expect them directly to try to do something for Sudan. Even if they living here in diaspora, they can work with our organization, and also there is a awareness to like MPs, the organization here. Like I living now in UK, and if there are other people living in other country, in European or wherever, and also in south of Sudan, in Africa, they can work with their organization or to contact them and to raise awareness and to bring to show them the needs of the Sudan and the urgent which can be done to stop the war and to bring aids like medical aids, food, and also the displaced people. Now maybe now about around 2 million people they are outside their house and they need support. And also they are in the border in Libya, in Chad, maybe in the south of Sudan, in different neighbor country.
Thank you. I think we may have lost him again, but thank you, Mohammed. Thank you. Afis, if I may now go to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, the same question. Give me your closing statements. How can we find peace? How can we contribute? You tell us. Give us a roadmap that you would.
Live in a very small world now, and everything is connected. I think what we thank and other part of the world for actually supporting us, but what we want is for them to pressure on the government so the government have the tools to put on the warring party in Sudan to stop the war, and also to support the democracy and democratization. I think that is the only way we rule of law. That is the only way Sudan start a proper process for peace and security, and I'm sure that will help because that legal migration They will stop, exporting terrorism and organizations. I think we have to work together because, as I said, the world is very small, and our problems will actually cause problem for other part of the world. And I think the good people and also government and NGOs so we can definitely that we're going to produce a very excellent result. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, and I look forward to seeing that development. Trust me, and we will engage. We will engage with you because we definitely want to contribute to the peace. Can I now go to Justin? Are you there, Justin? Are you there? I see your screen is blank. Justin, you're there. There you are. There you are. Okay. I'm going to invite you to give your sort of closing statement. We're moving towards the peace, how we can contribute towards the peace. Mm-hmm. Over to you, your closing statement.
Yeah, we really wish and hope and dream in our lifetime we will see the ushering in of what Mansour Khalid once said, that somebody I really love, an academic who was somehow man of the people, but who what he said matters and should have been the case. He often speaks of leadership, and he argued that the Sudan has never had the leadership it deserves. And maybe if we're to think leadership is a problem, I mean, in as much as I agree with Hafiz and Mohammed about the need for regional solutions and international presence, it's not going to really change things, because all we're doing, we're reinstalling the same elements, and we're not really asking the question, what can we do differently than what has been done before? So there's an African proverb that says, he who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk. If nobody follows you when you lead, then you're literally taking a walk. And now profound. I know you don't like the diverse presence of leaders whom we think contributed to humanity. And again, humanity has its different facades that you can actually relate. For somebody in China can feel the pain of Sudanese people. Somebody, I'm sure your program here has international presence. So the fact that we can feel each other's concerns and plights and worries and frustrations, and also societies are not inert or are not insulated. We actually, what has happened in America may take time before it happens somewhere else. So in the words of JFK, and I think this is appropriate for the Sudan, JSK said, yes, in the case of America, obviously, let us not seek to be Republicans. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past, but let us accept our responsibility for the future. So what is the responsibility for the future that the Sudanese elites should now take on their shoulders and run with it to usher in a new political dispensation as something that has never been done before, other than, packages of deals of who and who gets what and who gets represented and who must be part of this sharing of cake. This has been our reality. So again, it will not work. I still think we need something newer for Sudan. I don't know what that would be from Mohammed or Hafiz. I'm not Sudanese. I'm South Sudanese. But I'm a concerned regional member or citizen. And I really think if the Sudan can do it, South Sudan can do it, Kenya can do it, everyone can do it. But obviously others have not been fighting, but the elite politics still subvert the country, delay development, rob the citizens. Thank you.
Okay. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. But I have confidence in the peoples. I have confidence. Okay. At times it is slow, it's sluggish, but I'm confident the solutions exist here in this room and in similar rooms across the world, but certainly in Sudan. Okay. The Sudans at the moment. Okay.
But by the way, Mr. Motivator, the title is still wrong. You said South Sudan peace for the sake of the children. It should be Sudan's, or maybe
Sudan peace for the children.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It will get better. I have no fear. That's the purpose of these international shows. Each time we do this, our understanding of each other becomes that much closer. But I believe that's the problem. We don't expose ourselves enough. So what I'm going to say to you all, thank you. You've all provided an insight into that great country of the Sudans. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to thank you all for being here, sharing your knowledge. We hope we could do this again. And we want to take it from a different aspect. Next program we want to do is look at religion, specifically religion, and its role in the social dynamics that is the Sudan. Okay. It does appear to be a pivotal player in the life and times of the Sudan, and therefore worthy of an entire show. Look closely at the impact of religions, okay, and both the Gregorian religions of David, which of course is Christendom and Islam, and of course the traditional belief systems which has been with our peoples for tens of thousands of years. Okay. That'll be a useful discussion point. Because the solutions exist within us. Okay, but the courage is also within us to pursue the solutions. Okay, so that's the connection I want to make. The courage, and it could be, Justin, that the South Sudan is an expression of that courage. But let's establish dialogue and understanding each other, and we may agree, despite my Pan-Africanist credentials. Is that right? Yes. Justin, yep, yeah, I understand that. Okay, in that case, thank you, Mohammed. Thank you for your contribution today. Thank you, and we look forward.
Mr. Motivator, can you repeat what you said? We lost you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we've lost Hafiz. Lost Hafiz. Oh, he's there. Oh, he's there now.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. It's okay. You dropped out for a moment. I was just going to say...
I was asking, can you repeat what you said? Because I lost you. I didn't hear what you said. The last statement. I'll repeat. With reference to Sudan. You said something.
Yes, indeed. Yes. I said that through this dialogue, it may be, Justin, that I may agree with you that the existence of South Sudan is an expression of that courage. Because we have the solution, but it takes courage to implement solutions. And South Sudan might be an expression of our courage. I'm not sure yet. It's through this dialogue and our deepening our understanding in terms of the history and the context and the intention. Once that's fully appreciated, we may find a consensus. Okay, because a federated Africa would be one in which you retain your identity, but there are aspects of the general law that you share at the corporate, federal level. In other words, you retain that identity, but external relations there's a central consensus, a federated state. That could be the solution. I'm not sure yet, but we need to explore the solutions for our children's sake. We must build a better world for our children. And with that, I'm going to close.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And I look forward to a further debate at another time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. Yeah.
Allah be with you always.
Okay, thank you.
Peace be. Thank you. Thank you.
All the best.
Wow. That was something. I've got to say to you all, that was truly something. A truly inspired group of Africans, okay? It is true. The debate will continue. But the debate needs to happen not just in a single country or amongst a single peoples. It needs to happen amongst us all, because we are truly many people, but one. Okay, but I know it is easy, therefore, because the many leaves you vulnerable to external manipulation. Yeah, even though that manipulation causes a disruption which is against our common good. Okay, we as Africans need to have a essence that is Africans, that therefore encompasses Islam, encompasses Christendom, encompasses our traditional belief systems that can exist and coexist as part of a coherent whole. Okay, so the essence of being African is not lost, and therefore is not disruptive in any way. Okay, therefore, the social and economic growth that we seek as a peoples are realizable. The social and economic systems are realizable. So we have to decide what is higher. Okay, are you an African or something else first? Okay, and that may be the initial step. People across the continents, people across the continent, the Caribbean, the Americas, even Europe, need to consider. Are you African first or something else first? Okay, and that's maybe the strategic question that needs to be answered first of all. Because once that question is answered and there's a consensus around the answer, that may be the first step to renewal. Yeah, so the phoenix will rise again. So I say to the audience, thank you for sharing your time with us today. Share the link to this show with your families, your friends, your neighbors, your wider community interest, okay? And have that debate. Have that debate. Because it's not just Sudan who are going through strife, right across the mother continents, across the Caribbean and other places. It is a similar recurring theme. And whilst we possess high emotional intelligence, we need to apply it. I assert, I postulate that is the problem. Yeah? That's what I'm postulating. Emotional intelligence. Okay, that's what I'm postulating. So let's have that debate. Because to have this debate is to build and deepen our roots for the future and build for the future. Deep roots in our history, in our culture and tradition, we build for the future, for our children's sake. All righty. So, this is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. And if you're viewing us through YouTube, please subscribe, give us a like, give us a commentary on what you've learned today. We want to hear your words, yeah? We want to hear from you, okay? And if you're on YouTube, it gives the YouTube algorithm a reason to direct people to this channel, to this show, okay? So subscribe, give us a like, share the links with your friends, neighbors, and wider networks, okay? Please do that. It helps us to grow. And thank you, because we are approaching more than 50,000 regular listeners, 128,000 at one point. So it is good. We continue to grow, because growth is ours for the taking, because we intended to be so. Okay? We affirm and we define. I say to you all, until the next strong, I remain the motivator. Stay strong and be good to yourselves. Goodbye to you all. Goodbye. Until the next strong.